Good evening, and thank you for coming to this presentation. My name is Angela Farrell. I'm a student at RU University. I'm a senior, and today we're going to talk about proper oral communication. The necessity for proper oral communication in the job environment is something that we need to really pay attention to. Good communicators are assets to any company. Have you ever had an instance where you were speaking and it appears as though nobody understood what you were saying? Have you ever spoken and everybody kept saying repeat, 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 or what did you say? Well, I've had that experience a couple of years ago when I first came from Barbados to the United States. I was hired to work at an answering service, and I was the first point of contact for the company. So when people called, I would answer the phone, but people never understood what I was saying. They would always be saying, repeat, what did you say? I cannot hear you, and stuff like that. And after a while, it became very frustrating because it was not only the callers that were saying this, but it was also my coworkers. So I had to take stock of myself, and I had to figure out that the reason why they couldn't hear me or they weren't understanding me is because of the way that I was speaking. I had as we say in Barbados, I had a dialect, so my tone and my diction was not very clear. I had a very soft voice, so of course they couldn't hear me even though I was using a headset with a microphone. So I had to change that within me and start speaking soft, not softer, but louder, speaking, enunciating, speaking more clearly, and listening to hear or to know what I was, listening to understand what they were saying, and then made a purposeful change in my life to change that so people could understand me. It was annoying, it was frustrating, but I did it. So in that company, because I was the first point of contact, and because I was seen as like the ambassador for the company, I had to change me so that I would be in a position to retain my job, because if I didn't, I probably would have been fired. I ended up being one of the best answering service operators for the company. And the other thing is that they asked me to record their outgoing message. So when people called in and nobody was there, the voice that they heard was mine. But that happened because I changed myself. So let's look at why it's important to be a good oral communicator. Proper oral communicators benefit the employee as well as the employer. Good communicators are assets to the company. Employees always need to demonstrate proper communication skills like speaking clearly, being knowledgeable, maintaining the value that they have as an asset, because it could mean staying in your job position or being fired. So therefore, we need to remember to do research and ask questions for clarity, especially when your supervisor or your manager gives you an assignment and you really don't understand what they want. Don't just stay quiet, but ask questions for clarity so that you can maintain your job. Employers need to know that employees are valuable. Noted communicator Carl Wallingscast recommends not springing surprises on the employee, meaning that the employer is not supposed to come and tell you to do something and you're supposed to be psychic and know how to do it. They need to explain themselves. He also suggests that the employer's words match his or her actions. So if they're telling you to do one thing, some people tell you to do one thing and then you do it the way that they said to do it, and then they said, oh, I didn't mean that. So you're supposed to be psychic, right? So it's the employee's duty, the employer's duty, to tell you what they want in clear and a precise manner, but it's also your duty to ask questions if you don't understand. Value is shown when each worker has an outlet to be understood. Proper oral communication eliminates misunderstandings. The employers are held by a certain ethical standard, just as the employee is also held by those ethical standards. And when those standards are adhered to, employee-employer relationships are better. So, remember, as an employee, to command excellence from yourself. Do not follow the crowd. Be willing to listen. Communicate. If you have to communicate with authority, and know when to be quiet. In this diagram, we see this person here is making a statement. The person on the left says, "What a colorful mop of curls you have." But the way that they're saying it is not pleasing to the receiving person, and that person thinks, I know they means well, but I wish you would stop touching me, like, don't touch me. That's a form of communication as well, and everybody doesn't like to be touched. So in a job environment, it's like set your boundaries, know the boundaries, both employer and employee. Respect the authority over you. Employers need to show that the employee is valued. Riley says it is important to maintain good communication skills after one has acquired a job. During the probationary period, that's when the manager or the person who hired you is looking for any avenue that they can fire you. So even after that, you need to maintain the same skills that got you hired in the first place. Eliminating misunderstandings foster lasting workforce relationships. Proper oral communication balance the employee-employer relationship. Good oral communication is essential for the employer as well as the employee relationship. It eliminates misunderstanding. It stops dissension. In any job environment, we always need to communicate as a team. Pepper your words with love. Be humble. Be willing to listen. A lot of times we don't want to listen, and because you don't want to listen, you miss stuff. Remember that your employer holds the key to your existence in any job environment. Noted communicator Salusman Oriami states that employment relationship is necessary for peace and harmony in the workplace. He also notes that the selfish interest of both parties makes it difficult for employee-employer relationships to be balanced. What does that mean? Employers look at the status. Employees generally think that they're lower than, and because of that, it's hard to balance the relationship. You know, when you're going into a job, you're nervous of your supervisor, you're nervous of the manager, because they have higher authority over you. But when you respect the authority, it makes it easier for the relationship to be I don't know, balanced or favorable, get along better, that kind of a thing. It creates harmony in the workplace. So a pleasant relationship can be a great morale booster in the work environment. When you go to work and it's a joyous place and you have a great relationship with your coworkers, it's easy for everybody to get along. So even in your communication, you need to be pleasant. Proper oral communication boosts the workplace morale. It fosters a friendly workplace. And one thing that happens that needs to happen is the employer should celebrate success. What does that mean? If you do a great job, tell you, encourage you, and that boosts the morale for everybody. I remember I worked in a place where they gave the secretaries flowers for Secretary's Day, or they gave a gift card or something for your birthday. Things like that boost morale. It celebrates your success. If you did great, they make you, encourage you and let you know that, you know, because you are a valued employee, that they appreciate you. Employers are supposed to organize social events so that people can get to know each other in the work environment, and encourage employee bonds. So in the whole scheme of things, in the communication in the work environment, it's not only the employee that has a responsibility, it's the employer as well. It's a two-way street. Every friendship is built on trust, loyalty, and respect. Trust, loyalty, and respect. Without these in your life, you have nothing. Remember that job satisfaction and organizational citizenship behavior center on the oral skills of all employees. So again, the employer and the employee plays a role. So proper oral communication benefits the employer and the employee, eliminates misunderstandings, balance the employee and employer relationship, and boosts workplace morale. But respect is earned, honesty is appreciated, trust is gained,